The Special Intensive Revision or the SIR has been conducted all over India over the last few months. We have with us Vinay Sreenivasa, who is from the My Right, My Vote campaign.
Firstly, as you know, the SIR, while it's called a special intensive revision, is not really a revision of the rolls, but it's actually a fresh preparation of the electoral roll. And your inclusion in the electoral roll depends on whether you submit an enumeration form or not. In the first phase, every voter has to fill an enumeration form. And while filling the enumeration form, they have to map themselves to either their own name in the 2002 roll or to their parents or to their grandparents' name in the 2002 roll. In the second phase is also when a draft list will be published and the ASDDO list will be published, and the ASDDO being absent, shifted, dead, duplicate, and others. So if you submitted your enumeration form, you're supposed to be in the draft list. If you've not submitted an enumeration form, you'll be in the ASDDO list. And shockingly, in Karnataka, this has seen the highest number of deletions. So if you're in the ASDDO list, it's like you're deleted, right? And if you want to be re-included, you have to fill a form 6. Karnataka has seen 1 crore 8 lakh people being placed into this list. The total number of voters in Karnataka was around 5 crore 54 lakhs. Now, what we've been telling the Election Commission, and the Election Commission has also admitted, is that there are several people who submitted their forms, and even after submitting the forms, they've been marked as absent or shifted. The BLOs have not been able to visit many houses, but they've marked voters as shifted. There's been immense pressure on the BLOs. The BLOs have got only 1 day of training. Some of them have not got even that 1 day of training. BLOs were not given any written instructions on how the forms were to be filled. The only way you can figure out your details or your parents' details in the 2002 rolls is by going online. And obviously, everybody does not have access to the internet. And even when you have access to the internet through your phone, everybody does not know how to look. And the BLO could help you find your details only if you're in the same constituency in 2002. If you're in a different constituency, you could not find. So in the first phase, the one issue which everybody found was lakhs and lakhs of people could not be mapped to the 2002 roll. The BLO who came to my house, I was not there at my home when the BLO came. My mother was there, and the BLO told her to put the 2025 voter rolls in the section where 2002 voter rolls are to be put. This is the sort of anarchy that has happened with the SIR.
Will you tell us what this process is like for a first-time voter? What are the details that they, have to be sure of?
So for a first-time voter, the Form 6 had to be given, and they had to fill a Form 6, and they still had to do the mapping, right? They had to map their parents or grandparents to the 2002 roll. People have really struggled with a lack of information and also not knowing who to contact. And if the BLO, there is an issue with the BLO, you have to complain to the Assistant Electoral Registration Officer or to the Electoral Registration Officer, whose details, again, people have really struggled to find it.
Is there a difference with how the registration is happening in an urban setup versus a rural one?
A lot of issues have happened in the urban areas actually, because in urban areas people don't stay in the same house. Very small percentage of people in Karnataka have own houses. The rest of them live in rented houses, right? So when you're living in the rented house, you're not obviously going to live in the same place for 20 years. You would have shifted area, you would have shifted houses. So in urban areas, people really struggled, one, to map with the 2002 details, because they might not have been clear where they were, or they were not able to find it in the rolls. And people who shifted, even though they're very much there in the city, they've voted in the past, but they've been marked as shifted, which means you're deleted. So suppose I lived in area A and I've moved to area B, then the BLO in area B has to give me a form so that I can do it, or they have to give me a form 8 so that I can change my address. But what happened was both the BLO in area A and BLO in area B refused to give a form, and they've instead marked as shifted. And the Election Commission is pretending like there's no issue. They're like, if you're marked as shifted, you can fill a form 6, but form 6 is for the inclusion of a new voter. Our question, which civil society groups, including My Vote, My Right, has been asking is, why are you erasing my voting history? And why are you making me fill a Form 6 for inclusion? Why are you asking me to enroll as a new voter? But this has happened to like lakhs and lakhs of people.
So, what do you think that represents? Why is that the case? People are being asked to enroll as new voters.
There are two things which the SIR represents. One is the complete shirking of the responsibility of the Election Commission. The constitutional vision of the Election Commission is that the Election Commission has a responsibility to prepare voter rolls where every eligible voter is included. It is their duty, and that's how it's operated ever since independence. With SIR, what we've seen is that it is up to the voter to prove that they're an eligible voter, and the voter is made to run through hoops. If we are shifted, it's still the election commission's responsibility to make sure that we're in the role in the new list. And it's very unfortunate and condemnable that the Supreme Court greenlit this SIR in its current form. Several issues were pointed out to the Supreme Court about Bihar SIR, but unfortunately, the justices of the Supreme Court did not take cognizance of the issues, and they allowed the election commission. In fact, saying that the election commission is a qualified body, they know how to do it, and they can do as they deem fit.
For a process like this, which seems to be so detailed, what do you think, that like the timeline should be like?
See, we ideally what we were saying is the enumeration phase itself should have been 3 months, at least 3 months, right? If you want to reach 5 crore 54 lakh voters through BLOs who have other government jobs, the BLOs are like Anganwadi workers and other government employees who have to do the regular work and do this. Or sometimes even when you go online, we saw that in Bangalore there were constituencies for whom the 2002 roll was not uploaded. So if it's not even uploaded, how are you going to be able to find it? The second difficulty which people have found is that BLOs have not had enough time to visit all the houses. And BLOs did not have the complete details of the full address and phone number of everybody. The election commission had a protocol. They said if you visit once and you're not there, we'll visit 2 more times. We'll put a sticker outside your door saying when we'll visit next. That didn't happen.
India doesn't really have one kind of identification to prove that they are, a citizen of this country. Why don't you tell us how you think that voting and voter ID is related to citizenship?
See, the law is clear that to vote you have to be a citizen, right? But we must remember that we are a country with huge disparities. We are a country still facing illiteracy. We are a country where still people have very little agency. We are a country where the bureaucracy is still not people friendly. So that being the case, obviously people are going to have difficulties with documentation, right? We've had in Karnataka, we've had migrant workers who are Adivasis in the coffee estates of Kurk who've been like working almost like bonded labor for several years. They don't have their documents on them. So just because they don't have their documents on them or they don't have a particular document, you cannot exclude them. The state cannot fail to do its duty and then punish the citizens for failing to do their duty. If you look at how the elections were being conducted all these years, right? So to enroll in the electoral roll, even like your gas bill, your like electricity bill, those could have been like identity proofs to get you included, right? Your ration card, all of those could have been proof. Because in a country like ours, it's important that the most marginalized are included in the electoral roll. What is happening with the SR is that there is a focus on exclusion and not on inclusion. There is a really arbitrarily high standard set for inclusion.